Hey, friends, welcome back to Midweek Encouragement. Thanks for joining us again this week. I want to talk to you today about names. We all have one, right? At least you better have. There's been some people throughout history that have tried to change their names. I remember there's a musical artist. I think he's deceased now, but he changed his name to question mark. No, not the word question mark, the symbol question mark. And then there was another one by the name of Prince that just went by the symbol, formerly known as Prince. So some people have had some strange names. When my oldest daughter was younger, she found the video of the musical, The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews and she would go around the house singing all the songs. We knew she was watching that movie when we could hear from the back room her singing along with all of the songs in that movie. It was a great time, and she still remembers all those songs as well as some others that she's learned over the years from other musicals that she has watched. One of her favorite type of movies is musicals. Now, one of the songs in The Sound of Music, the children are singing along, and it's the scales, and it says, the song goes, do, a deer, a female deer, Ray, a drop of golden sun, me, a name I call myself. And you're probably singing along the rest of it, right? But stop right there. Me, a name I call myself. I think that's a very important place for us to stop for a minute, because it reminds me of a statement that I've often made to people I know. And this statement has come back to get me a time or two, because I've often said, I don't like it when you talk bad about one of my friends. When somebody puts themselves down or criticizes themselves, I will often reply by saying, I don't like it when you talk bad about one of my friends. Because here's what happens. When we put ourselves down or anybody else down, we're actually putting our Savior down as well. And I don't like it when people talk bad about my friends, because I value my friends. And I think the truth is, when we criticize ourselves, we really criticize our Maker as well. Now, for some people, it isn't their name. It's this name somebody else has called them for so long, and it's become that name that they answer to. I learned from a friend this quote, and the quote says, it doesn't matter what people call you. It only matters what you answer to. So, what name do you answer to? What name or names do you need to stop answering to? Is there a name you need to start calling yourself? Me, a name I call myself. Now, each of us has a personal influence, kind of an energy area around us. We might even call it our personal space, or we call it our bubble. If someone gets into your personal space, you feel uncomfortable. They are in your bubble. Our bubble is influenced by what we think of ourselves and what we think others think of us. If we think of ourselves as if we're not worth anything, then our bubble is usually kind of small. If we think of if we think others think lowly of us, then our bubble is even smaller. Now, we have mean people in the world, people that we might call them bullies. They have a bigger bubble, but their bubble is bigger for the wrong reason. They feel that if their bubble is bigger than your bubble, then you become a target of theirs, because they can attack your bubble and make you feel smaller. And when they do, they win. Now, here's the truth. Hurting people hurt people, and hurting people are unpredictable. When they are mean, they take their emotional hurts they are holding and they try to release them into someone else. But no matter how much they try, they still carry the hurt that they have. They see someone with a smaller energy force as a target. And since they can't get ahead, they feel they need to put people down. Bullies target those with a smaller personal influence. You ever heard the phrase, got your goat? Do you know where it comes from? It's actually an old horse racing term. It comes from the history of horse racing. Horse owners would often stable a goat in the stable with their racehorse. And if somebody was mean and would come along and steal their goat, then the horse would not be as calm and the horse may lose the race. So somebody came in and got their goat. When you allow someone who annoys you to shake you out of control, you let them get your goat. They may even be someone from way back in your past, something that was said years ago and that person isn't even around. I'm reminded of the names that Goliath called David, even the way David's brother Eliab was somewhat of a bully to him. David defeated both of them by seeing who he was in God's eyes and not the eyes of everybody else. You come against me with sword and stone, but I come against you in the name of the Lord. He came against him with a greater authority because he saw himself in God's eyes. He didn't have an ego problem. And besides that, ego steals creativity. Remember in the old movie, The Wizard of Oz? What defeated the Wicked Witch? It was water. In the book of Proverbs, it says in Proverbs 25, verses 21 and 22, if your enemy is hungry, give him food to eat. If he is thirsty, give him water to drink. In doing this, you will heap burning coals on his head, and the Lord will reward you. I believe that what the Bible is teaching us is to respond in the opposite of what mean people do. In other words, we're increasing the awareness of whose we are. And when we do, most of the time, they don't even know how to handle it. They think we're crazy. And what happens is we enlarge our personal space. We enlarge our bubble. And as people who follow Jesus, we are not out to win the game, but we're out to change the game. And when we change the view of ourselves, we start to change the game by changing our personal space. I think one of the ways to start helping us see ourselves in a different light is start to replace the names that other people have given us with the names that God has given us, and start rehearsing these names and saying these names, not the names that people have said. Paul, once upon a time, was an enemy of God, but God never stopped loving him. God always saw the potential that he had, and he went on to write most of the New Testament after God changed him. But he says in Philippians chapter 4, verse 1, he says, therefore, my beloved and longed for brethren, my joy and crown, so stand fast in the Lord, beloved. Did you hear the names he called you? Did you hear the names he calls us? And since Sunday, what God has been reminding me of is that name that he has for you and me, beloved. I like that name. In that one verse, he calls us a few names: beloved, longed for, brethren or sister, his joy, his crown. And then one more time, he says, beloved. Beloved is the name that Jesus calls us. Our enemy, Satan, knows your name, but he calls us by our sin. God knows our sin, yet he calls us by name. My children were little at bedtime. I would remind them of what it says in Psalms 147, verse 4. He counts the number of stars. He calls them all by name. And for me, if God knows how many stars there are in the sky, and scientists only have an estimate of how many stars there are, God knows them all. God's named them all. And if he knows all their names, don't you think he knows ours? I think he's got another name for us. I think he's got a special name for us. And to sum up that name, it's just beloved. You see, if you've accepted Jesus Christ as your personal Savior and you're living for him, then he has given you that name, beloved, my beloved. Colossians 3, verse 12 says, therefore, as God's chosen people, holy and dearly loved, clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. When they have rolled out the red carpet for some kind of an award thing and the stars are all gathered and they're walking down that red carpet, and a reporter will come up and ask, who are you wearing? Who are you wearing? Who are you wearing? So they want to know what the designer's name is of the outfit that they may have on. And the question comes down to us as believers in Jesus Christ. Who are you wearing? Because of Jesus, are you clothed with compassion and kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience? If not, maybe you don't have the right label on. In professional baseball, somewhere on the jersey, you will find a little, and it's the same logo. It's been around for years. It's a red and blue logo that says MLB, Major League Baseball. And it's got a silhouette of a batter on it. It indicates the team membership to the league. That's just the larger picture. Without the MLB, the Chicago Cubs do not exist. Every Cubby jersey has Cubs or Chicago on the front of it. Every jersey in the Major League Baseball, they have a different name, but they all have that MLB logo. On the front of the jersey, you're going to see the name of the team, like Chicago Cubs. It shows which team that player belongs to. Without the Cubs, the player doesn't even exist. They don't have a team to play on. And for a number of teams, not all of the teams, but a number of the teams, on the back of the jersey is that player's personal name in bold letters. The player belongs to the club, which belongs to the Major League Baseball. And without the Cubs in the Major League Baseball, a team to serve and a league to play in, the player has no larger purpose. The uniform is a reflection of the way things are in the space where the player's career unfolds. Structurally, the Major League Baseball is of utmost importance. It is the entity that holds the league together and ultimately gives the players a paycheck. If the Major League Baseball, the MLB, folds, so does every team. So on a daily basis, the Cubs are most important. They are the context for the player's efforts on the field, whether for his coaches or for his teammates with whom he has a personal relationship and is trying to win. The player has their importance. And it doesn't matter how talented that player is. Without the team and the MLB, they're really nothing. And what the player has to understand, he must be others focused. If the player ever walked out on the field and their name was across their chest, their uniform would be on backwards. And they would have forgotten who they're playing for. So as we go out every day, no matter what day of the week it is, does Christ appear on the front, or is your name on the front? So just remember, the name on the back of your jersey is beloved. Remind yourself of that name today, because it is a great and blessed name. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.